All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll bring to order the Washoe County Open Space and Regional Parks Commission meeting for Tuesday, December 1st. Can I get roll call, please?
I'm going to do the roll call. I think Kathy's having trouble with volume, so I will take that. Stephanie Chen.
Here.
Heidi Anderson.
Here.
Doug Doolittle.
Here.
Thomas Gwynn. Let's see. I'm just going to check our list real quick. I don't believe Thomas Gwynn is here. Darla Lee. We do have Darla Lee in the list. Maybe she's having a little trouble with volume. Chris Nenzel.
I'm here.
Jennifer Oliver.
Here.
Greg Shorts.
Here.
Kitty Jung.
Present.
Folks, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to read through the list of staff as well. I don't typically take roll for this meeting, but Dave.
I am here.
Okay, Eric Crump.
I am here.
Colleen Wallace.
I'm here.
Okay, I think that's everybody, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll go ahead and get started. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
To the United States of America, to the Republic for
Okay, thank you. I think everyone might have been muted, but no problem. Do we have any public comments?
We do not have public comment.
Okay, thank you. Item 4, approval of the agenda for the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission meeting of December 1st. Do we have any additions, corrections?
Oh.
Okay. Commissioner Oliver moves to approve. Perfect, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have several seconds. Perfect.
Short second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Item 5, approval of the minutes for the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission workshop of September 25th, 2020.
Move to approve. Second. Greg Short.
Renzel first and Commissioner Short second. Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes. And then item 6, approval of the minutes for the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission workshop on October 6, 2020.
Move to approve. Doug Doolittle.
second, Jennifer Oliver.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, we will go ahead and move on to item 7, acknowledgement and recognition of park operations staff for their outstanding service and contributions to Washoe County.
Hey, for the record, Colleen Wallace Barnum, Park Operations Superintendent. I have the pleasure this afternoon of acknowledging Robbie Short, one of our inmate crew leaders, as a person who received his certificate of 20 years of service in November, and actually it was October. Robbie, am I right? Is it October?
Yes, October.
Okay, October. So he's slightly over 20. And Robbie is actually retiring from Washoe County. He probably only has a few more days on payroll. So I really wanted Robbie to be able to attend today's meeting, you know, not only to acknowledge his 20 years of service, but also to just wish him farewell from our commission. So I wanted to make sure everybody was aware. So Robbie has been an inmate crew leader his entire 20 years. He did spend 2 years at the sheriff's office and then moved over to the Parks Department. And so he spent the last 18 years with Parks. And Robbie has been instrumental in really getting that program up and running for Parks, but also maintaining such great working relationships with the courts and with lots of the staff. He probably saw all of the parks more than a lot of the other staff that work for Parks, simply because he was at a lot of them on a regular basis. And just to give you an example of some of the things that Robbie did over the years, I don't know how many fencing projects. I know he was super helpful after the Collin fire at Bartley Ranch Park. We rebuilt a whole lot of fence after that fire. He's worked on irrigation projects, tree planting. He's also been involved in Christmas tree recycling and chipping the trees every year and making sure those chips get out to the different parks. And then we have to definitely acknowledge all the work he's done for the May Museum. He actually set up a lot of the exhibits. So the big exhibits that came in every year, Robbie was helping Christy and the staff over at the museum set those up and get those ready for the public. So just really, Robbie, great job to you for the last, 20 years. It won't be the same without you, for sure. And I just wish you the best. Also want to make sure everybody knew Robbie also lived at Rancho San Rafael Park. He was in the residence there for many years. So he was on call, going out in the middle of the night, checking on buildings and making sure things were in good shape. And he has a tremendous amount of dedication to Washoe County and parks in general. So thank you so much, really, for all of your service, Robbie.
Thanks, Colleen.
Would you like to say anything?
I think with 20 years in, I'm good. It was definitely interesting 20 years. It was also great to work for Washoe County Parks.
Glad to hear you.
Stephanie, if I might.
Go ahead.
Robbie, you've been such an inspiration for everybody in the department. You've done so much hard work out there, and I, for one, really appreciate everything that you've done over the years. It's been great knowing you, and congratulations on 20 years, and congratulations on retirement. You certainly have earned it, and you'll enjoy it. Trust me.
Thanks. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that.
And echoing what Commissioner Doolittle said, yes, thank you, Robbie, for your years of service, and congratulations on your retirement. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations, Robbie. I was always wondering who lived in that house. I always was envious of who got to live there. So hope you enjoy your retirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Chair, Mike, this is Eric for the record.
Hey, Eric.
Robbie, I just wanted to say thank you and reiterate a lot of what Colleen had said. As Colleen had stated, Robbie had lived in the house at Rancho San Rafael for several years, and you could always count on him answer the phone when weird things happened in the middle of the night or the weekends. And we relied on Robbie heavily for those after-hour calls. And just thank you for your contributions to Washoe County and our community. Thank you, Robbie.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you so much for joining our meeting, Robbie. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chairwoman.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I just muted and unmuted myself. Hi, this is Commissioner Kitty Jung. Robbie, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Well, I couldn't let you go without saying something, and I don't know if they're going to do anything at the commission level, but I think you have figured out the secret to life, dude. You got to live at the most beautiful park in all of Nevada, and you got to work with the population that I think would be the most interesting and fulfilling to work with. And now you get to retire as a dedicated public servant, and I can't think of anything. It's a word we throw around a lot, and we always seem to relegate it to certain people, but you're a true patriot. Thank you for serving us, our community. Thank you for being a fellow citizen here.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you, Commissioner Chong. Okay, we will go ahead and move on to item 8, presentation on park asset management. And I believe Aaron Smith will be presenting that for us today.
Yep. For the record, this is Eric Crump. I wanted to do a quick introduction of Aaron Smith before he gets started. So Aaron Smith is our Business Intelligence Program Manager. He has been with the county for a few years now. We stole him from the private sector. He's been doing some great things within the Community Services Department and within the county related to assets, asset conditions, and basically making kind of data-driven decisions for budgetary purposes. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Aaron.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me and can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
And thank you.
Great. So Aaron Smith for the record. So I'd like everybody real quick to imagine a highly used picnic table at a park like Rancho Santa Fe. And now imagine an ashtray at a smaller, lesser used park like Bailey Creek. Now, if both needed to be replaced and they both cost us the same thing, which would we replace? I mean, the answer is obvious. We would replace the picnic table at Rancho Santa Fe. Now, take into account that there are tens of thousands of these choices that need to be made. There's different types of assets: gazebos, drinking fountains, dugouts, bike racks. Also, varying degrees of repair needs. Is it new, broken? Maybe it's missing. Where are they? Which parks? How many people are likely to use them? It becomes a lot more complicated to decide what the overall capital needs are and where to spend our limited resources. Parks has been doing this for years and years, but the information has lived inside the park staff heads. One person might have a piece of the puzzle, and another person might have a different one. It's hard to have a complete objective view of our asset health and our needs. Asset management is the tool that helps us organize this messy data into useful information so we can maximize the value we create from our resources. So asset management is the process of using technology to know what we own, what condition it's in, when it needs to be replaced, how much it'll cost, how important it is, how much value it creates, and what risk it poses. The information helps make strategic decisions, determine the appropriate management strategies, create long-term budgets, justify CIP needs when we're competing for resources. We've started this process in roads, facilities, wastewater treatment, and in our parks division. We're at a milestone in our parks, amenities, and pavement program, and we have a good inventory of assets, and we also have a good idea of the condition of those. And that's what I'm sharing with you today. So quick facts on our pavement. When we're talking about pavement, we're talking about roads and parking lots. Walkways and bike paths are on the horizon, but not included today. The inventory and condition inspection efforts are coordinated through the same pavement preservation program we use for all of our Washoe County roads. They're assessed every 3 years, the most recent of which was this last summer. So we have recent condition information on these. In inventory, we have about 65 acres of pavement. That's about 49 football fields. Pavement is an important asset, not only just because of its large investment value, but also because it provides access to our parks. Without it, it'd be difficult for those with disabilities. Pavement is also a major interaction point, and customers, and the consequence of poor pavement could result in a lawsuit. Another major interaction point is our amenities. Amenities are things like park benches, or picnic tables, garbage cans, picnic shelters. So fixed assets, doesn't include buildings, doesn't include pathways, and doesn't include anything that's growing. So those are different asset classes we'll include in other reports. So amenities only account for 7% of our assets by value, but they also provide a high level of utility for our customers. Imagine the consequence of a broken picnic table not being able to be used for a family picnic, or going to play basketball and the hoop is missing. So this last summer, we took the existing inventory we had, we cleaned it, we updated it, and at the same time, we did a condition assessment of each of those amenities in our parks. The result of that was an average grade of a B+, which is good. Only the majority of them needing routine maintenance only, maybe a little cleaning, just regular maintenance. Because of the sheer number we have, there's still $1 million roughly in capital needs in parts and labor. For our pavement, 67% of our pavement was either in good or satisfactory condition. This is great. So we're meeting expectations. The pavement condition index is kind of the score we give it, and we scored a 71.2. The goal is a 73. But we still calculate that there's about $4.5 million in needs to bring that pavement up to a good condition. And that seems like a big number, but all of the assets aren't created equal. Some parking lots provide more value than others. Some are used more than others. Some, they deteriorate at different rates. It doesn't make sense to treat them all equally. And that's where risk comes into play. The condition of an asset is important to know, but so is the value that asset provides to the customer. The consequence of each of these assets failing is that grade. And we scored them based on these criteria. Safety, what safety risk does the asset pose if the asset fails? Importance, how disappointed would a customer be if the asset failed? And park attendance, how many customers were likely to be impacted by it failing? Combining the condition, also known as the likelihood of failure, and the consequence of failure, we arrive at a risk score for each of those individual assets. So remember back to the picnic table at Rancho Santa Fe and the ashtray at Bailey Creek. The bench or the picnic table at Rancho Santa Fe posed more risk, and that's why we would replace that before the others. The more risk we're aware of, the more proactive we can be with our spending. Using this analysis, we're able to sort our needs by risk and address the things that are most important. We want to spend our resources where they'll create the most value. So of that 4.5 million in pavement needs, only about 244,000 of that is in the high risk category. For amenities, it's about 57,000 out of the 1 million. So there's still more to this story. It's also important to identify future needs because it's cheaper to avoid failure now than it would be to react to it later. So for example, we have about 270,000 square feet of pavement that's in the fair condition or in the moderate consequence. So the yellow zone on the bottom graph. The total repair cost of that today is about $450,000. If we let that degrade into poor or failing condition, it'll be a 1.2 million to completely reconstruct it. So that's more than twice as expensive, not taking into account inflation. So not only are we tackling the things that need to be done today, we're also addressing the things that are little now before they become big things in the future. And we're doing this through predictive modeling. This is this graph on the screen is an example of what would happen in our amenities if we didn't do any maintenance on it. So over time, the majority of our assets would fail. So we'd be a grade F by the end of year 30. Now compare that to the current level of funding on what we would do to keep those at where they are. So we're continually improving these models, and this is the next step in our program, which would be projecting out what would happen with different funding scenarios. And we've got almost a year's worth of data in our work order management system, Asset Essentials. And this data is going to help us understand what the current level of effort is for modeling these risk and condition. Where are we spending our time? What are we spending it on? Turf versus amenities, those sorts of things. But Parks isn't waiting. We're moving ahead. So management is already using the condition and risk information to determine appropriate management strategies. Well, we're able to get a holistic view of the needs of each park in park-specific reports like the one on the screen. We're also able to sort all of our amenities by that risk score and tackle the things that pose the most risk. We're doing the same thing with pavement. So these reports have helped inform decisions already. Action's already been taken to repair amenities that have needed it. Ranger Supervisor Jeff Patterson has used it in Bartlett Ranch already. I know that one already. So we are also informing how we justify CIP needs. We have objective reasoning to make our case when competing for resources. Pavement is a good example. We're planning for the replacement of the pavement assets when they reach the end of their useful life. With regular maintenance, we expect the useful life of pavement to be about 50 years until it needs to be fully reconstructed. In the graph you're seeing on the screen, green depicts pavement construction. So that's pavement that we put in place into our parks, that we've got it in inventory. The red depicts the regular maintenance needs going into the future. So historically, we've spent about $140,000 per year maintaining our pavement and have achieved that desired result. The PCI, the Pavement Condition Index score, is kind of hovered around that, low 70s, but that's meeting expectations. But if you see on the graph between 1991 and 2000, there was almost 1 million square feet of pavement that was laid in our parks. So if we project out the total maintenance that we would need, there's a large number of reconstructions that are going to be needed around 2041 and 2050. So what we're doing today might not keep us where we would want to be tomorrow. So we're getting ahead of the curve and trying to see what's coming up, and we don't want to be blindsided by those things. So funding at today's levels won't keep us where we want to be tomorrow. Assets are aging and need to be replaced, and at the same time, we're adding new assets to the list of things that we need to maintain. When adding assets, part of this program is building a maintenance cost into the acquisition. So we have very generous people who are kind enough to contribute and donate assets to our wonderful parks, but there tends to be a gap in the funding between the construction and taking that on, and then the maintenance and replacement later on. So for pavement, we should consider not only the cost of building the road or parking lot, but also the micro seal that needs to happen in year 4, the cape seal that needs to happen at year 14, 24, and 30, and the eventual reconstruction at year 50. So what that means is if we construct today, we should have $3.11 in the bank accruing interest so that we can pay for the 34 years of maintenance. But we should also have another $37.82 in the bank to pay for its eventual reconstruction 50 years later. So before I open it up for questions, there's some key points for you and our citizens, our customers, to take away. Our park staff has done an amazing job with the resources they have. So on paper, the condition shouldn't be as good as it is. They're doing great bootstrapping, but they are fighting a trend of growing demands for use of our parks, aging infrastructure, demands of new inventory. So asset management is a tool to help us peer into the future and be proactive with what's coming, and be aware of the risk and how we can address it. But we can only prioritize so much, and we need to be able to keep up with demand. So I'm committed to the mission of the parks. I'm happy to help however I can, and I'll open up for questions for anything that you guys have.
Thank you, Aaron. This is Commissioner Chen, and I believe you have 2 more presentations. Would you like us to hold our questions for the end after you complete that, or do you want to take questions after each presentation?
So this was the presentation on both the pavement assets and the amenities assets.
Oh, okay. And I had them both pulled up, and I think they were okay. No problem.
So so in the meeting notes there should be three different things: the presentation, and then also the two reports that correspond to this that go into detail of these things to discuss.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you for that. And I wanted to start and say thank you for sharing that information. It was really insightful. I appreciate that that information is quantified because I feel like it helps me personally understand the costs and needs related to those various assets. So thank you for breaking that information down and even looking at the reports that you provided. That was really helpful to see just the cost for each asset and the models that's used. So thank you for that. Commissioners, do we have any questions?
Well, what I appreciate, this is Jennifer Oliver, what I appreciate is that you're demonstrating the efforts that the department is doing within the budget. And I think that this helps as part of the budget process in presenting what these maintenance needs are, because we know that maintenance is a main issue because we get the funding for the new shiny things, but this ongoing maintenance is kind of like, we need gap insurance for that somehow. And because the funding levels that we're at doesn't quite meet that. So I think that this is a really beneficial tool going into budget season for the department. And I really appreciate this information. So thank you, Erin.
Any other questions or comments for Erin?
Madam Chairwoman.
Yes, Commissioner Jung.
Thank you very much. This is Kitty Jung. I have a question because I didn't get your hot link to this presentation. When you're talking about pavement, are you talking about pavement of all of Washoe County or pavement of the parks?
So the report that goes along with this meeting was specifically for parks. So our roads and our parking lots in our parks. We're doing the same program in our roads overall, but yeah, related to our parks.
Okay. Got it. Sorry, I just couldn't see the visuals, so I wasn't sure. When you weight the inputs here, like how do you weight the use of or the popularity of an asset in a park? Do we keep accurate real-time data on park attendance numbers on all of our parks and amenities?
At our regional parks, we have car counters, so we know the attendance numbers. So we have those over time, and then the weighting is done by expert knowledge. Colleen and I worked on those.
So who's the expert knowledge? Like people go out and like your park rangers, like Mr. Sorry, I just forgot his name. The man we just honored who did 20 years in all of our parks. Like who just determines that other than a car? And you and the other experts.
Well, so the car counters are just counting cars, and then there's a formula to figure out how many people per car. But the weighting of that.
It's all car data.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha. But then, okay, that's fine. I don't want to get way too in the weeds with this. Here's one thing I do want to say, and I hear you very loud and clear about the asset management and how to weigh these different uses. I do believe that parks needs to look into, no matter what the condition or pavement or amenity looks like, in a way to beautify the way that it looks. And I bring up the Lazy Five parking lot that I think is, frankly, embarrassing. And so there has to be a way, rather than go in and, put in this, $3 million pavement that doesn't need to be there. And there's another way to make things look nicely. So that's one thing I would like the Community Development Department vis-a-vis parks, to be more creative in that way, and just in the attractiveness level, especially considering the high level of use we can still expect, probably up until the end of next summer. So, but I hear that loud and clear, and I love this as another tool in our toolkit, and a way for me especially, to look at how budgets are informed. So thank you, and thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you, Commissioner Jung.
This is Eric Crump for the record. I just wanted to reiterate, so we will continue to capture information related to our assets as Aaron Smith had talked about earlier. We're currently utilizing a work order system in parks. We've been utilizing a work order system in other operational areas, but we're now using it in parks and capturing maintenance associated with those asset types, so we can better understand the amount of effort. We can better understand the condition of those assets. So this is data that is kind of living and will continue to grow and become better over the years. So.
This is Commissioner Shorts, Eric. I was wondering, can you tell us how you've been operationalizing this data so far? I'm looking at, well, first of all, I didn't know, where do we have a boat ramp? But other than that, have you, are we looking at this data and then turning around? We have the failed assets at, well, I guess a plaque isn't a big deal, but some of these failed pavement, things like that, are we operationally using that yet? Or is this still kind of in the data gathering stage where we're using it as a tool that way?
It's an excellent question, Commissioner. And so I'm very excited. This will be kind of the first year that we'll use it operationally in terms of budget. So we'll be providing this information when preparing our budget to finance. And that will help us, we're funded. We obviously have operation and maintenance dollars, but we also have a budget called infrastructure preservation. And it's meant to basically replace those assets that aren't capital in nature. So less than $100,000, but more than our normal O&M budgets can take on. And so this will help us provide data information to budget when we're submitting budget. It's also been operationalized kind of on the ground, as Aaron Smith had indicated earlier. Our district manager, Jeff Patterson, I mean, they're all utilizing it, but they're utilizing. So now there's the ability to, if we want to make improvements to a specific park, and instead of, again, talking to folks and pulling that information out of their heads, instead of buying, say, one table, we may buy, 6 or 10, and get that discount for buying multiple tables, knowing that within, a couple miles radius, we have multiple tables that need to be replaced. But that's just an example.
This is Doug Doolittle. Eric, in terms of the infrastructure preservation budget and the needs of the parks, are we caught up, or are we still in catch-up mode? Are we still behind the 8 ball regarding funding in terms of trying to keep up with the failing infrastructure that exists in the parks?
Great question. So, as you might recall, the infrastructure preservation budget was actually unfunded for many years, but it has been funded for the last several. I don't remember exactly what it's at. It's probably around $425,000. We project that out over 5 years, but again, that information has primarily been from talking to folks who are in the field. So now we're going to be able to better utilize this information and have a better understanding of if we're caught up, so to speak. I will say what we've been able to do with the use of residential construction tax has certainly helped. We have replaced, I don't know, something like 15 playgrounds with residential construction tax throughout Washoe County parks. And those are typically big ticket items. You know, those are multi-million-dollar between the surfacing and the equipment. So that's really helped us. The changes in the legislation that's allowed us to use residential construction tax is complemented our use of infrastructure preservation. So I'm pretty confident there.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Aaron or Eric?
Just a final comment, Doug Doolittle again. Aaron, thank you so much for bringing this forward. It's very informative. It certainly provides a good plan for budgeting, and I know you work hard with the park staff to make certain that the facilities are funded in a way that we don't totally see a park fall apart upon us with the conditions that we have relative to dollars and funding. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Aaron, for your presentation. Again, really insightful, good information to have and for us to know. We appreciate your time being here with us today. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay. We will go ahead and move on to item 9, Eagle Scout presentation.
Hey everyone, this is Park Ranger Andy Brown coming to you live from Galena Creek Regional Park, and I am here to represent Stone Rasmussen. He is the young man who will be giving the Scout presentation shortly. I just wanted to give a quick hello, and I wanted to mention a couple things. Stone's project was, it had a couple of challenges, overcoming, logistics with the pandemic and, actually being able to move forward with the project during COVID restrictions and everything. He pulled it off masterfully, and I'll take you guys on a quick tour after he gives his presentation. But, being able to do what he did when he did, and the fact that he actually had to, I'm sure he'll tell the story, but he had to switch scout troops midstream. He had to get reapproval for his project, so he had to go through this twice. But I think Stone will have a really good story to tell. So without further, I'll hand it over to Stone Rasmussen. Thank you, sir.
Alrighty, thank you, Andy. Do you just want me to share my screen to put the presentation on, or?
Why don't you go ahead? Did you turn your camera on? There you go. Yeah, go ahead and share your screen if you can.
Perfect. All right, can you guys all see it?
It's loading. There you go.
Alrighty. Are we all ready?
There we go.
Okay. So this is my Eagle Scout project presentation. Thank you for all making the time to listen to me. And so as you can see here in this background, this is a finished product. Just a quick little picture. You can see all the stakes that we put in with the signage system and the new pathway, and I'll get more into that later, but this is just an example of the garden. So for my project, I made new stairs out of the railroad ties as the stone ones that were in there were falling apart, and it was really, really tough to kind of get down the stairs. And we also put in a new path with type 2 road base all the way through the garden. We extended the fencing on the upper garden kind of area, and we stained all of that fence. We put in a new signage system for all the plants with an additional key that goes with it so that you can explore all through the garden and look at all the plants and all their characteristics. And then we also put in 4 new species of plants, 2 of each of them, and that just introduced a bunch of new native species and gave the garden a nice touch up and gentle cleanup. Like you can see on this picture, this is before my project. There's tons of pine needles everywhere and pine cones, and we got rid of a bunch of that and just made it look really, really nice. So here are some pictures of my project. You can see here my, these are the signage that we got. They're aluminum, and then we put coating on it so that they'd be able to last for a long time. And these are the stakes that we used. We got 2x2s, cut them, or yeah, we got 2x2s, put little wedges in them, and then stained them so that it would look nice and match with the fence. And then this is the new steps. These are the new steps. And you can see the railroad ties that we put in. We reinforced them with rebar and then lined the trails with that rock path. And then this is just another view. You can see the trail right there with all these plants. And also there's a drip system in this garden that we repaired in multiple places, and we provided materials for that to be repaired. And so the impact of this project, I raised $800 and used $600 of those dollars towards this project with the plants and the road base and the stairs and such. And we didn't use 200 of those dollars, and and I decided to donate that money to the Galena Creek Regional Park for future use, and to be able to use it for the pollinator garden, and just yeah. And then we put in the new native species of plants, again, 4 new species, and the easy to use signage system. And I actually remember in about, I think it was 4th grade, where I took a field trip to the Galena Creek Visitor Center, and we got to come down into this garden, and this is about like 4 or 5 years ago. And I remember looking through it, and I don't remember my impressions at the time, but I just remember it being there. So when I was thinking of ideas for a project, this popped into my mind. We took a quick trip up there, and I got to meet Andy. It's just been a big pleasure to see him this whole time. And so these are all of our volunteers of donors and donors of one of the days. We actually came out 2 days, and we had about 30 people come overall to help us and raised $800 total. And 200 of those we are giving to the visitor center. And that is it.
Nice job, Stone. So yeah, real quick, I just wanted to take you guys on a real quick walk. So yeah, Stone mentioned the little plaques, the markers that he created. And the really cool thing about these now is when you're walking through this area, each one has a number that corresponds with them, and there will be a guide available. So we're working on it still. Hopefully to have this available in the spring, and it will be available both in a paper form and a virtual form. I don't know if you're all aware, but the visitor center has been closed this whole time, and we want to be able to create opportunities for people to continue to come out and learn about the park while they're here. So we're going to make this this guide available in a virtual form. You'll be able to walk up to the door at the visitor center, scan a QR code, and it will give you a link to download that guide straight to your phone, just like some other features that we have here in the park. So it's a good interactive experience, and it's a good learning experience for anybody that's looking to learn more about native plants in our area.
Thank you, Andy and Stone. Stone, thank you for your presentation. You did an amazing job with that project. And I also like that the signage system, I think that's a great addition, and I'm sure future visitors will also appreciate that. So great job on that project.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
If I might, Doug, do a little Stone. really great job. Great planning effort, great volunteer effort. And I hope you don't ever stop volunteering, because we need people like you into your 70s, 80s, and 90s. So keep volunteering and keep doing the work. Excellent job. Andy, great job mentoring. Appreciate all the hard work you do out there in the parks and helping out the Boy Scouts get these projects up and going.
It's my pleasure.
Congratulations, Stone, and thank you so much for donating. Great job on the fundraising, on the work, on the volunteering, and for having the consideration to donate those unused funds to the park. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Don, I think you did a wonderful job on that. I'm actually impressed. It seems like you got a good deal done with $600 on that, looking at the whole part of that. I was wondering, what did you find to be the most valuable skill that you got out of doing this project?
I definitely felt that my leadership skills before and after the project just progressed like exponentially. And because I had like 30 people at my hand, and I had at the beginning, kind of on the first day, I had a hard time kind of leading all of them or assigning jobs. And on the second day, I kind of got it down, and I was so glad that we were able to get so much done. And yeah, it was I just had a great time doing this, and glad that I could do it.
Is there any particular person you'd like to give a shout out that helped you out beyond, helped you get this project done?
Yeah, definitely Andy Brown. I just want to thank him. And he just put me through and helped me with all of this, just from the start to the end. And I also want to thank my mom, who's standing right here. And
yes, good job.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, great job, Stone. Really impressed, and congratulations accomplishing this amazing project. And you showed such great poise and presence during your presentation. It's really impressive. And thank you, Andy, for helping provide these opportunities and keeping our parks going in the right direction.
Madam Chairwoman.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Stone and your mom, great work. I know how much it takes out of a mom to get a young person to complete a very distinguished task and to become an Eagle Scout. So I echo our former Parks Director, Mr. Doolittle, in saying I hope you continue that spirit of volunteerism and love for the outdoors and giving back. And because you are an Eagle Scout, I can probably say with pretty good assurity that you will. So well done, Mom and Stone. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you, Stone, for joining us today. We really appreciate your work on this project. Great job again. Okay. We will go ahead and move on to item 10, Parks Reports.
Okay, thank you. For the record, Colleen Wallace-Barnum. Just wanted to highlight a few things since it's been a little bit since I was able to highlight them. Just wanted to make sure you guys knew Andy and some of the other rangers, when things were able to kind of open back up in October, they actually offered some ranger-led hikes. They kept the numbers really low. They only allowed 15 people to sign up. We were able to sign up on our ActiveNet software, which is what we purchased for our reservation system, and that worked out really well. With some advanced signups, and those were all successful hikes. We only had to cancel one of them that was scheduled in mid-November, and by that time we were already kind of shutting things back down, unfortunately. So, but great job to the Rangers to getting back out there and trying to get the public back out to the parks and enjoying these great open spaces in a guided fashion. We did a restoration planting project. Joanne Loudon, our natural resource planner, There were some monies available from our Truckee River Fund, which is monies that are used to mitigate a lot of our problems with noxious weeds and invasive weeds. And that was done during the month of November. Bartley Ranch, I don't know if you guys knew, but Bartley Ranch hosted 2 presidential campaign events during the month of November. It was actually, one was in October and one was in November, but they were quickly back to back. It was kind of last minute, but we were able to pull everybody together. One group used the amphitheater and the other group used the Flying Bee picnic area. So I want to thank the staff for kind of going way out of their way, coming together on holidays and all sorts of, days off and just getting together and making sure those events were successful for the groups that were requesting them. Want to make sure you also knew that today our ranger staff, along with our road staff from the Community Services Department, took out about 60 Christmas trees, and it's the Christmas trees for special families. We were able to haul the trees down to Rancho San Rafael Park. Any family, so the families, the special families that are going to be getting those trees, it's a combination of active duty military, National Guard, and then foster families. And all of those families are being asked to sign up. We have about 15-minute increments where each family comes and gets their tree. So we wanted to make sure that that important program continued. So we started that today. With the cutting, and then Friday, I believe Friday and Saturday will be the days that the families will be coming to get the trees. And then finally, Bartley Ranch Park and Rancho San Rafael Park will continue to be sites for the Christmas tree recycling efforts. And, come December 26th, that's where you can drop off any live Christmas tree for a small donation. Those monies go towards Keep Truckee Meadows Beautiful to maintain their programs. And we're happy to assist with those. As far as the museum, I wanted to make sure everybody was aware. Our museum remains open currently. The museum, as well as Bartley Ranch, the Western Heritage Building, and the North Valleys Community Center were all polling places during the election. As far as I understand, everything went smoothly. They were busy, they were consistent, no problems. And we were happy to support that effort from the registrar's office. The museum has a few exhibits back to back. They're all just static displays. So if you get an opportunity, visit the museum. We also have the gift store open. They have some really great gifts that are discounted and great place to go shopping for Christmas gifts or holiday gifts. And if you're there, just take a look at some of those displays. We have some really nice, so one is, it's a traveling exhibit. It's the Hmong Textiles in America. And then that one goes through the end of, I think the end of December, early January. And then the Sierra Watercolors does an exhibit, and they actually sell some of those watercolors. So again, that's another great Christmas or holiday gift if you're looking for shopping opportunities. There's also a drive for Comfort for Kids, and it's kids that are in the, I believe they're in the foster care system, and it's an opportunity to donate. So just some events that we're doing in the parks for the greater community, and if anybody has any questions, let me know. But that's all I have for park reports.
This is Doug Doolittle. Just a couple of comments. One, thanks to you and everybody else for all the effort in the Christmas tree program. That really serves a community that may go underserved at times. And I know they really appreciate it. And I do too, because it's been going on for years now, and it's wonderful to see it continue. I do have a question. You didn't mention anything on golf, but I have a question on golf if it's okay. What is the work being done on the fifth hole, along the fifth hole of Washoe Golf Course?
Director Doolittle, this is Dave Solaro, Director, Community Service Department. That's work actually being done by Tumwa they're replacing some of their vaults. They had some underground pressure reducing vaults in that area, and they're converting those to above ground based on some water standards from the state.
Okay, thanks. No, they have an easement there, so there's no impact in terms of play going on currently, and it's not going to reduce the level of that particular hole for years to come then.
That is correct. All that work was done a couple of years ago to verify easements and everything else, and verify that it wasn't going to impact play. Tumwa's just taking a lot longer to get their project out the door.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you, Colleen, for that update, and thanks to the park staff for continuing programming despite our times. We appreciate the flexibility and still offering programming for the community. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll be sure to pass that along.
Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to item 11, Director's Report.
Good afternoon. For the record, Dave Solaro, Assistant County Manager, Director of the Community Services Department. Just a couple of things to note this month. Hopefully in January, if I can get proposals in from the 2 golf operators we currently have, it may stretch to February, just depending on what their time frame is. I'll have a couple of contracts for you to look at related to future ongoing licenses with golf, both at Washoe Golf. That'll also include Sierra Sage and a proposal on the Wild Creek facility. So working through that right now with the current vendors. Their current agreements run through July of next year, but they wanted to come in and see if they could get some potential extensions on their agreements. And so those will come back through to this group for your review. If there's anything specific that any of you would like to see in those agreements, please email me separately. I would appreciate that. But certainly, I think you can see in the reports that are attached with this, golf this year has been doing very well, especially at Sierra Sage. I think we've broken monthly records on numbers of rounds every month with the exception of January and April. And of course, April was closed down by governor directive. So very successful with golf operations. Again, that is an operation that is funded completely by the golfers. There's no general fund or other tax monies that go into those courses. Along those lines, I do want to echo as well some of the praises for our staff. Had a chance this weekend to get out to a couple of different parks, and Aaron Smith touched on it a little bit. The park staff has been doing a fantastic job with the budgets that are available in keeping those parks available and open, throughout this entire year. So kudos to the park staff and the work that the rangers and the maintenance crews have been able to do. I know there was a big push for youth sports, and we extended some field play time for youth sports. That was a relief to a lot of parents that have sporting age youth, and so glad we could do that for our community. So with that, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, not hearing any questions. We will go ahead and move on to item 12, Commissioner's comments. Seeing some head nodding. Okay, doesn't look like we have any commissioners' comments. Item 13, public comments.
We did not have any public comment.
Thank you, Katie. Alrighty, we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 3:29 p.m. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a great day.